What's up everybody, this is JBL, here bringing you a set from Jimvitational 2, Round 2, Winner's Side, between Mayo Pockets, aka Blarg, and UV Maxima. Let's get into it. Turn 1 we have a Metagross on Skarmory. Are we going to see a Houdini here? No, actually, Mayo goes straight to Magneton, and that Skarmory is going to be trapped and removed in exchange for one Spike. UV's Punish is Blissey, which is going to take the Toxic, and wow, that Flamethrower critical hit. I'm not sure if the crit mattered. It certainly might have, and now we're back to 5 on 5. Blissey goes out to Gengar as Snorlax curses up on Mayo's side. Is it going to click Shadow Ball here? No, switches out to Celebi as Gengar reveals Destiny Bond. So Gengar goes for the taunt on Celebi. Nice play, not afraid of a Psychic. Actually, on a structure like this, seems pretty likely that this Celebi is Swords Dance Pass, and yeah, struggling implies it has no attacks. It's probably Leech Seed, Recover, Swords Dance Baton Pass. And now this Gengar is in a really good position because it can keep taunting the Celebi, and it can threaten a Will-O-Wisp on anything else that switches in. Mayo goes to Suicune on the taunt turn. Nice play there. And Gengar's just gonna Thunderbolt it down. So let's see, is the Gengar going to be able to get the 3-hit KO on the Suicune with Thunderbolt? It seems probably not. And UV is actually content to trade the Gengar for most of the Suicune's health. I actually don't love that play. I feel that the Gengar was really threatening to everything on Mayo's team and could easily switch in on the Celebi or Snorlax. Especially given that UV had a Starmie the whole time. But back to the action. We have a Snorlax again cursing up as UV Maxima brings in the Tyranitar. Big critical hit on that Rock Slide. That is really huge. Otherwise the Snorlax might have been going to the moon, and instead the Snorlax is going to be taken out by the Tyranitar. UV saying my bad in the chat. Tyranitar is revenged by Metagross, though, and we have a 3-on-3, and Starmie is looking pretty good depending on what its moveset is. Though, kind of a strange play from UV Maxima going to Starmie and then straight to Swampert. You probably want to preserve the health on the Swampert, given that Mayo's last is probably something like Aerodactyl. And here we have the Starmie revealing Ice Beam on Celebi. That Celebi is probably not going to be able to recover out of range. The Ice Beam's doing about 50% each time. So it's only really a matter of time before this Ice Beam gets a freeze if Mayo chooses to keep playing it. There's the freeze and the immediate thaw, actually. So Celebi gets off the Leech Seed, and now is it content to sacrifice itself or go... Yep, he goes to Metagross as UV Maxima actually clicks Rapid Spin there. So Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, Rapid Spin. Curious what that fourth move is. Maybe recover. Ooh, a pretty bad Hydro Pump miss there as Metagross Earthquake does a huge chunk to the Starmie. UV Maxima's forced to switch to Swampert, which I'm just noticing now, it does not have leftovers. And yet another Hydro Pump miss from UV Maxima. And it didn't have Slackberry either. Wow, in the chat, UV Maxima just said, I forgot the leftovers. That's... Oh my goodness. And yet another Hydro Pump miss. And here we're going to see probably an explosion into a Handshake. Wow, I kind of don't know what to make of that endgame. It really could have been an interesting one if that had been Slackberry Endeavor Swampert. Maybe it brings the Metagross low enough that Starmie can clean up the game from there, or if it had just been standard leftover Swampert, maybe it gets more chances at hitting a Hydro Pump. But in an endgame with Metagross Celebi and then presumably some kind of other physical threat like Tyranitar or Aerodactyl or maybe Dragon Dance Salamence, you'd have to believe that Starmie and Swampert should have been favored there. So pretty tough break for UV Maxima there. But we're going to move on to Game 2. Game 2 starts with a lead Wheezing on UV Maxima's side. That's not something you see every day. takes about 50% from a Zapdos Thunderbolt and burns the Zapdos in exchange. That's not going to be the most impactful burn, as now Snorlax is forced in and takes 30% from another Zapdos Thunderbolt. Oof Maxima goes hard Magneton trying to catch a Skarmory and gets Zap-dugged for his troubles. That's a tough way to start game 2. Oof goes back into the Weezing, which is going to click Hidden Power on the Zapdos. Super effective, so that's either Ice or Rock. Either way, nice play. And the Weezing survives the Thunderbolt. That Leftovers chip heal made all the difference, and now it's Zapdos that's going down due to the burn chip. Back to 5-on-5. Mayo goes Salamence, and Oof chooses to preserve the Weezing. Makes sense, as it's a really good Doug punish if Doug gets locked into Earthquake. We now have Metagross on Metagross, and Mayo switches out as Oof Maxima's clicks Earthquake. And now Hidden Power Grass on the Swampert. Gonna do a big chunk, and it's Mayo's Swampert's turn to miss a Hydro Pump this set. Very nice Earthquake mid-ground from Oof. It probably would have KO'd the Swampert from there. Agilities, as it's a Choice Band Earthquake from Mayo's Metagross. And Oof Maxima does not find it in him to click Meteor Mash on the incoming Salamence, and down goes his Metagross. If he had clicked Meteor Mash on the Salamence switch, he maybe could have won on the spot. And that's a brave stay in from Mayo with the Dragon Dance Salamence. Maybe guessing that Oof Maxima's Suicune did not have Ice Beam, or just assuming that if it did have Ice Beam, he was going to lose anyways. And huge critical hit on the Suicune from the Doug trio. That definitely mattered. And what is this? Weezing going to click Memento. We'll see what's there in the back to try to Dragon Dance up. It is a Tyranitar. So Mayo goes hard Doug trio on the Tyranitar, which Dragon Dances and still gets outsped and one-hit KO'd by the Doug trio. That Doug trio has put in work this game. That presumably was a roll to kill, and now game 2 is going to end just like game 1 ended, with a Metagross explosion, and Mayo Pocket takes the set. That was a pretty interesting game 2. Brought a couple more spicy Pokemon. Pretty tough to get Zap-dugged right at the start of the game, but actually I thought Oof Maxima brought it back pretty well. Maybe if he had known that his Metagross was the faster Metagross and didn't have to click Agility, which is pretty committal when they were facing each other down, if he had just clicked Earthquake right there, he would have had a full health Metagross that then maybe could have taken out the Swampert and the Salamence. Or, as I alluded to earlier, if he had clicked Meteor Mash on the Salamence switch-in, then that Metagross with the Agility could have probably one-shot the Doug trio, the Salamence, and the Swampert. So maybe would have been in position to win the game. But either way, really interesting set, really interesting games between these two. Sorry if that was a weird splice. My 4-month-old baby just started crying in the other room right as I finished commentating this set. Pretty rude of him, if you ask me, but don't worry about it. He's cool, he's chill, he's awesome. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, please. The people who work on this channel put in a ton of effort to make these videos really high quality and to get them out in a timely manner, so we really, really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you again soon.